Hey, it's Lee for On Your Marks Wrestling, and I'm here with an NXT review. We start with Charlie Caruso explaining, kind of giving us a little bit of background on the Dusty Rhodes Classic. She reveals that the final is today. She also reveals that there was an injury to Bobby Fish that will probably result in him not being able to compete at Takeover, which is where the winner of the Dusty Classic is supposed to face Undisputed Era. So they kind of leave it up in the air. They don't tell you specifically, hey, Adam Cole's going to replace him. They don't say, or there's not going to be a match. So they kind of leave it at that, but that's going to be talked about a little bit later on. I'm going to flip my notes over here. Make sure I don't get lost. Lots of talking today. So we get the Authors of Pain versus Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne final. AOP dominates physically early on. They're just basically Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne are getting absolutely no offense, and Dunne's getting destroyed. Eventually, though, he does kind of get out of it a little bit by attacking the finger joints. I love seeing Dunne doing the cracking of the fingers thing. Marty Scurll does it too, but I like it. He tags in Roderick Strong, who runs wild, hits a lot of knees, a lot of drop kicks. He eventually hits a really nice Olympic slam on Rezar, which is impressive because Rezar is probably, 330 pounds, 340 pounds, something like that. They keep saying that. I'm sure he's not that heavy, but he's pretty big. Dunne hits a double stomp onto Rezar's back, and they get a near fall out of that. Then eventually AOP hits a powerbomb / neck breaker on Dunne, I believe. For a near fall. Then it's a little bit back and forth at this point because Strong and Dunne hit their finisher, which is essentially Strong throwing a member of AOP into Dunne, who essentially makes them do a face plant. They get a near fall that's broken up by the other member of AOP. And then the Undisputed Era pops in and they interfere for a double DQ finish. Regal's music comes on. He says, hey, you guys thought you were smart doing this? Well, you weren't smart enough. He says the match at TakeOver is now going to be a three-way with both teams that were in the Dusty Classic and Undisputed Era. And he said it's going to be a triple threat, and it will crown the championship, and it will also crown the winner of the Dusty Classic. So you win two things if you win that match. Then we get a kind of video package / promo thing from all the competitors that are in the ladder match for the North American Championship. They're very short little bits for everyone, but they're very effective. I thought it was perfect. It's exactly what it should have been. After that promo set, we get a video package for Ciampa versus Gargano, and that video package is just next level good. Really, really sets up this match. Anybody who watches this video package, even if you've not seen one match between the two guys, you would be completely invested in this. So I thought that was great work. So then we get a women's match between Kairi Sane and Vanessa Bourne. I made a note that Vanessa Bourne's intro has been really stepped up, so I feel like they're going to move her on from being just a kind of also ran into an actual member of the roster. Not that she wasn't a member of the roster, but maybe a bigger part of the roster. Excuse me. I made a note that Bourne was much better than she was even when she did the Dusty Classic. Dusty Classic. The Mae Young Classic. As I was writing it, though, Bourne, and I'm going to blame Bourne on this one, really botched a kind of flying forearm that Sane was trying to throw. It was really messy. The camera work, thankfully they made a cut to make it look less bad, but it looked pretty bad. So Sane essentially kind of missed the punch and Bourne just threw herself on the ground. After that, and again, I usually don't give credit to the production because I hate these punches / camera movements and zoom ins and zooms out. I hate almost everything production-wise, but that camera cut was good. Sane eventually hits a double stomp onto Bourne, which basically sets her up for the insane elbow, which she hits and gets the win. Then you get an interview, or media scrum in the back with Lacey Evans, and she's basically just talking about all the women in the division, calling them societal trash and not understanding why they keep getting opportunities. So she runs down Nikki Cross, Ember Moon. She basically just talks about everybody. It wasn't particularly effective, but it is her character. They're working on it. Can't really complain. Then we have the Undisputed Era confronting William Regal outside the arena about his decision to make the triple threat. Regal says that Cole can compete because Cole says, I'm already in a match. I can't compete in 2 matches. And Regal gives him some options. He says you can compete in both matches, both the North American title match and the tag team title match. Or O'Reilly can just go at it alone against the other 2 tag teams. Or he said that Cole can relinquish his spot in the North American tag team match. North American title match in order to just go in and compete in the tag team title match. So my suspicion is he does both. After that, we get another promo package. This time it's for Aleister Black versus Cien Almas. I thought this was okay. Aleister Black he speaks very good English, but there's that tiny little bit of language barrier that kind of makes things come out a little bit slower, a little faker. And Cien can barely speak English, so there's just not that much kind of effective communication on his part. It was still okay. Can't really complain. You needed to do it. So then we get the final match, which is Lars Sullivan versus Killian Dane. There isn't much to this match. Killian Dane hits his slam / senton. He attempts to do the second rope, springboard splash. Sullivan gets his knees up. Sullivan goes to the top rope to probably deliver that headbutt. But Dane intercepts him, gives him a headbutt. They both fall off of the post onto the ground. Velveteen Dream comes in and basically feints climbing to the top to jump on one of them. Adam Cole jumps in, so it distracts Velveteen Dream, who comes back down. And then the other 2 competitors, so EC3 and Ricochet, get into the ring. Ricochet getting by far the biggest ovation. Get into the ring, and they just kind of do a stare down, and it's essentially the end of the show. I actually thought that this was I don't want to say horrible, but pretty bad ending to a show, just because you ended on a nothing. Ricochet, yes, Ricochet is popular, so he gets a little pop every time it comes up. But you ended on a nothing. You had this match that could have been a match, and apparently these 2 guys were very heated. Sullivan almost said, I don't even want to be in your North American Championship match. I just want to make sure I get my hands on Killian Dane. He said that last week. And now, this match lasts 2 seconds, and then all these people come in, and it doesn't even end. So I wasn't a huge fan of that ending. I understand why they did it. I just felt they didn't need to do it. Excuse me. So that's the end of the show. I did not particularly like this show. You have a non-ending to the main match, right? The main event has a non-ending. The very first match of the night, which was the final of the Dusty Classic, had a non-ending. The only other match on this card was Kairi Sane versus Vanessa Bourne, and it had a somewhat botched ending. So you basically, at least it was a real ending, but you had essentially 1 botch and 2 non-endings on your go-home show for TakeOver, and TakeOver is going to be great. The only kind of big news coming out of this is the triple threat switch because of an injury to Bobby Fish. I will give this even the worst NXT isn't that bad because it's only an hour, but I'm going to say this is like a 5 out of 10, maybe 5.5 out of 10. It was not very good. Either way, I'm really looking forward to NXT TakeOver. The next review I will be posting is likely to be Impact Wrestling. As for this, I will have another review next week, I guess. I will be reviewing NXT TakeOver and WrestleMania in between now and then, so you will get more NXT content if you watch this for NXT, all two of you. I appreciate all two of you, actually. So thanks for watching. See you probably tomorrow or next week, depending on how you watch these things. Bye.